All right, guys, time for a little update here on this portable power station. This is kind of my big one that I keep here at the house. It is still portable, so I can move it around the property for different things. If I need it outside, if we're, having a party or barbecue, whatever, we can drag this out there and have power and so on and so forth. If I'm out on the property, and we need some power tools, stuff like that, I'll drag this out and about to use. I also keep it in our basement, so when we get power outages and so on and so forth, I can use this to run the fridges and the freezers and so on and so forth, any other little things we might need. The wife's coffee maker, you all know how that goes. So I thought I would do a video about this, as well as I have an upgrade for this today. So let's take a look at this thing. So I built this a couple years ago. It's made on, this used to be I think it was a Craftsman brand, little tiny air compressor, but it's basically like a mini hand truck. So it has the bar goes up on the back and stuff, and this had like a little pancake compressor that was on it. And of course the compressor had gone bad and everything like that. And we had gotten it from a friend that was just getting rid of some junk, and I saw this and thought, hey, that'd be perfect to make a little portable generator on. So I snagged it, tore the tank and all that stuff off of there, got rid of all that, and it worked out just perfect. I just mounted a board here to the backside, mounted all the components and everything there, and then the little platform on the bottom is perfect for the battery. The battery is an SOK 100 amp hour. And then we have the, see, everything's all nice and happy. This is the EP Ever Tracer 60 amp charge controller. It also has the temperature probe if you have a battery that doesn't have low temp charge protection. This one does, so I don't have the temp controller hooked up right now, so because the battery wouldn't let it charge if it was too cold anyway. Again, this is stored in my basement, so it's not an issue. I have the MC4 connectors here on the top that come in from my array outside. Out on my patio, I have two 325 watt panels, so I have a 650 watt array that comes in and feeds these. And then attached to the EP Evers, the MT50. You guys have probably all seen these. These are very popular. I have not had one issue with this thing. This thing is fantastic. Of course, we all know, oh gosh, why can't I think of his name right now? Will Prowse. We all know he's used these and recommended these forever. It is fantastic. Haven't had any issues. And then next to that, I have the GoWise 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. Again, I haven't had any issues with this. This basically runs the lighting and the chargers and stuff when I'm playing with all of this stuff, my portable ones, all of that. This sits in the basement. I plug in an extension cord that runs over to my workbench, and basically I run everything on my workbench off of this thing. And again, that has handled everything I've thrown at it. Granted, it hasn't been much more than lights and some little chargers, stuff like that. But I've also taken this outside. I've hooked my RV to this and run everything in my RV, of course, except like the AC, and the microwave would trip it, but I think that's just because of the limits of the battery and the BMS that's in there. So, but I've run everything in the RV, blah, blah, blah. Great power inverter, works great, no issues, no complaints. I do have the little battery monitor. I can't remember the exact brand. I got it on Amazon. But this just goes through and shows you all of your different voltages and percentages and all that kind of stuff, set for 100 amp hour. So yeah, shows you all your different stuff, your state of charge. The thing I like about this one is it does light up, and it kind of kind of flashes at you when it's charging. So basically, just at a quick glance, I can tell whether I'm getting power from my solar panels or not just by looking at this thing. I don't have to come over and let's see, I think if you cycle through, yeah, this will tell you how much you have in it. But again, it's easier to just be able at a glance to see that. If it's lit up, I know basically, because you know, I get up, I can just, when I walk by this thing, I can just know at a glance if I'm charging, what the state of charge is, blah, 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 all of that. I did wire in just a little 12-volt outlet here. I can always toss in the little 12-volt to USBs if I needed to charge like phones, stuff like that. The power inverter also has a USB plug on it as well, so there is that options. So yeah, basically this has been a great little setup. Here's the shunt that comes with that battery monitor, and then I just run the cables and everything. So basically that's what I've got, what I've had, used it for a couple of years. It's been great. But I was perusing Marketplace the other day, and I happened to come across this guy. This is a Chins 300 amp hour 12 volt battery. So essentially that has 3 times the capacity that does. This has the 200 amp BMS. So the 2000 watt power inverter, when it gets a bigger load and the surge power and all of that, should be able to handle more than this does. Because I want to say this is, it's only 100 amp BMS, but I want to say, you know, I think it only like a 50 amp continuous discharge, maybe it's 100, I can't remember. But yeah, that one, when you would throw a big load on it, like trying to run a microwave, you know, you have that initial surge power. It was just enough that this battery didn't quite have enough juice. Now, what I had originally planned was to do 2 or 3 of these SOK batteries and put them in there. But again, found this guy on Marketplace. These are, there's my kitty, one of them. These are about $1,000 brand new. I snagged this one for 500 bucks. So yeah, I couldn't pass that deal up. And basically I think it will mount right onto this thing here. I may have to make a little spacer just to keep it out, because these wheels they do stick out a little bit. So I'm gonna have to set that battery out here just a touch, but I think I've still got enough room here. And then I'll just put a little spacer back there to keep it from pulling against the wheels, of course, when I tip this to move it around and so on and so forth. And then like, I just have, this works out perfect, this little handle up here. I've got a couple of extension cords and a power strip just in case I needed more outlets. And then I've also got just this little kind of ditty bag that hangs on here. This has some other, it's got my kilowatt meter. I think there's a USB cable stuff in there. There's one of the little adapters, just anything I might need for that. So basically it's all basically self-contained minus the panels. And again, those come in through the basement and I just plug them in and rock and roll. So basically what we're going to do today is we're going to attempt to take the new Superstar here and swap it in place of my SOK, and then maybe we can maybe we'll see what we can really power with this thing. So I'll update you guys here when I get the battery on there and what we come up with for that. So stay tuned. All right, and there we go. We've got the new battery on there. Didn't have to swap cables or anything. Everything was plenty long enough. Kept the little protective caps from my SOK, just keep stuff from falling on there. Hooked it all up. You can see 13.2 volts. Right now it's pulling, what is that, a 10th or a 5th, 0.05 amps. So I'll have to reset this because this is still set to the 100 amp hour, but if I reset this to a 300 amp hour, then it's going to show that I'm only 33% charged. And for whatever reason, I don't think you can reset the, oh no, we can. So let's try this. Let's do this. If we go over to amps, we hold this down. Or no, we got to amp hours, hold it down. And then crank this up. Oh, yeah, gotta keep going here. Oh, we love the capacity. Okay, 300 amp hours. Whoops, did I screw that up? I bet I didn't hit that quick enough. Oh, there we go. So if we go over to percentage, we hold that, 100%, 300 amp hours. There we go. Okay, cool. We can reset it then. 13.28 volts, which matches what the MT50 is saying, 13.3, 13.28. So now I'm going to take this thing into my kitchen because we have the world's oldest microwave, and I'm going to go see if it'll run it. Stay tuned. See what we can do here. All right. So here's my incredible old microwave. So you can see the cord there. Usually plugs into the wall socket down there. We're going to plug this into my inverter. Turn the inverter on. You can see that lights up to show you that you've got a draw. And let's see, so it's showing us where. So right now, running the inverter just by itself is only pulling 0.6 amps, 0.7 amps. So let's see if I got enough here to make me some lunch. Got power there. There you go. 133 amps is what it's taken to run that fridge, or excuse me, microwave, which that explains why the SOK battery would not run it, because it only had 100 amp BMS. So yeah, these bigger microwaves, I'm sure that this one is probably at least 1200 watts, and it's old, but it just keeps running. So we keep using it. So I know the one we have in our camper is either a 12 or 1500 watt microwave. I believe it's a 12. So that would explain why it wouldn't run the microwave in the RV. But now I'm thinking it may. So let's see. Does this show us load? Yeah, 12 volts. All this is for the charge controller, so yeah, that's just going to show us that. So yeah, 134 amps. Definitely puts a load on it, doesn't it? But it is doing it. It's running it. So let's see, we've got what, 16 seconds here. When that kicks off, we'll see what the battery recovers back to on voltage, because right now it's showing about 12. Okay, microwave is done. Back to the 0.7 amps. Back to 13.1 volts. So it does it. Awesome. I know if it'll run this old microwave, it'll run anything else in this house. And that's what I built this for, is to have around the house and use when the power goes out. We live in a somewhat rural area. It used to be a lot more rural when I was a kid, power outages were not uncommon at all. So I grew up, and basically we're on everything out here is power. We don't have natural gas. We don't have anything like that. So the heat for my house is a heat pump. The water in my house comes from our well. So I have a well pump. So that's my next project eventually would be to build a bigger solar array and then get a couple of like the EG4 or Grow Watt all-in-one inverters. Run 2 of them so I can run dual phase because my well pump is 220. So, and then of course we would build a bit bigger battery array as well. So that would be the next project, would be to build one of those that's more of a permanent fixture for the house. But right now this will do it. So when our power goes out, in fact, we had a power outage here a few weeks ago. It was only out for an hour or so, so really not any big deal. I didn't even have to drag this out. In fact, I grabbed my little portable one, the one in my last video, the 50 amp hour, the one in the black outdoors, what is that, the Prime Outdoors case, whatever it was, Pure Outdoors, with the 50 amp hour. And I plugged my 55-inch big screen TV and our internet, which is Verizon, so it's just a little box that, you know, sits in your window, because I don't even have decent internet connection where I live. So we plugged in the TV and the internet off of just that little power box, and we were sitting there watching a movie, hanging out with the kids while, you know, everybody else around us didn't have anything. So this would run that thing probably for weeks. I don't know, because even on my little one, it wasn't drawing much at all. So yeah, definitely this will take care of anything that I'm needing it for in the immediate future. Super pleased. That was a super nice score, and obviously I can power anything and everything I need. So I'm gonna go get something to eat. Thanks, guys.